7 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting is being videotaped. The committee will vote to go in executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for units A and B, because discussing the matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on negotiation position and litigating position of the committee as declared by the board's chair, which is me. Follow the executive session, the committee will return to open session, and I will continue the agenda. Agenda adjustments. We'll start the meeting with student and staff members of the month, items 6 and 7, then proceed to Bruce Nolan auditors report and item C. The committee will then vote to go in executive session. Thank you.
We'll take item 7.
We'll have student of the month.
That's yours.
Good evening. I'd like to acknowledge Elizabeth Trell. That's the last time I call you Elizabeth. 10th grader from Graphic Communications and Visual Design program. Liz Trell is a sophomore from Rockland, enrolled in the Graphic Communications and Visual Design program at South Shore Vocational Technical High School. Her proud parents are Kathleen and Kevin Trell, who are in the seats tonight. An honor student, Liz is a 3-sport athlete playing volleyball, basketball, and softball. A student ambassador, a member of Skills USA and Business Professionals of America. These are the things Liz does. It is not who she is. She's described by her teachers as creative, positive, hardworking, kind, and an advocate for her peers. Mrs. Provost and Mrs. Palmer complimented Liz on her willingness to help her peers in class. Mrs. Brennan calls Liz motivated, a respectful young woman who is self-disciplined in her studies. Mr. Filano compliments Liz as a student who delivers her best and described her as a student who will stand up for those who may not be able to stand up for themselves. He also noted Liz's keen sense of humor, I'll give you that one, that can come out at unexpected times. All of her academic teachers complimented her on her smile and the smile that she creates. Mr. Mariano, Liz's shop instructor, states, Liz, she's indeed a wonderful young woman. Liz is a student that keeps me on my toes, making sure I keep her challenged. In shop, Liz is working far above grade level, and as a result has achieved great success in her vocation. This is evident with her Skills USA and BPA medals. She has raised the bar for her classmates as a result, as they strive to do more and do better with each attempt. It's been an honor to be one of her teachers. This past month, at the Business Professional of America competition in Texas, Liz ranked among the top 10 in the nation in desktop publishing. As Mr. Filano stated simply, Liz is awesome. Please join us in celebrating Elizabeth Trell as the South Shore Vocational Technical High School's June 2018 Student of the Month. Okay, it doesn't shine, but you get blank, okay?
Well,
Thank you.
And the school committee congratulates you very much. We appreciate your work and endeavors at South Shore VOTEC. Thank you. Okay, we going in executive? No.
I'm going to move on.
Staff member of the month.
Miss Class, come on down. Sorry, you don't get all the blame. You can get a lovely plaque for the wall. We are here tonight to acknowledge the June 2018 Staff Member of the Month as nominated by the students of South Shore Vocational Technical High School, Miss Tammy Glass. Tammy joined us in September 2015 in our Social Studies Department. Besides her excellent background knowledge in the subject matter, Ms. Glass is always willing to experiment in her classroom with new projects and assessments to push and gauge student learning and understanding. Outside the classroom, Tammy has been a class advisor and worked on the prom the last few years. The prom can be an overwhelming event to undertake. You can smile. The expectations of the students and their parents can seem daunting to meet. Ms. Glass has risen to the occasion each and every year. This past year, she oversaw the construction of a chandelier that was created solely by our students in our shops. Whether it's in the classroom or at the prom, Tammy wants and expects nothing but excellence for her students and from herself. Students spoke of Ms. Glass with these wonderful words. I gotta get them right, hold on. Ms. Glass is very helpful, supportive, caring, and a funny person. She has been an amazing teacher this year. She has helped me out so much in the past few months. Ms. Glass always dedicates her time to helping all her students, including me. She always understands what we need help with and does whatever she can to help us. I love going into Mrs. Glass's class every day because I know she will always put a smile on my face. The students of South Shore Vocational Technical High School congratulate Ms. Tammy Glass for being the Staff Member of the Month for June 2018 and acknowledge that she doesn't just come to work every day, but is here for the students of South Shore every day. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you on behalf of the school committee, Sandy. We appreciate you very much in your work with our students. Thank you. Mr. Norling, we'll go for the auditor's presentation.
Okay, well, that's a tough act to follow, and I just, I'll stand up. I'm Bruce Norling, the CPA who owns the...
It's on cable, so you need the mic.
You're just talking to it. I'm the CPA that owns the firm that does the audit of the South Shore district, and this is a brief report on the results from 2017, and there is bound financial statements there in front of Jim, and I've discussed the results with the Finance Committee / Audit Committee, and I think they were accepted fairly well. The couple things I want to mention is that your budget for 17 was very close in the end. The end result very close to break even as far as budget versus actual. You're very close. And the other thing is that Jim Coughlin, I really appreciate what you do to get the numbers done, and with your staff. You have a great staff, and although one is retiring, but Pat. But I really appreciate the help because it's Jim who does the work, and we just do the audit. The other thing I want to mention is it's certainly become a larger project than it has been maybe 10 years ago because of the pension liability having to be recorded, the OPEB liability having to be recorded, and so it's challenging. But nevertheless, I think you did a good job staying on top of it, getting everything. We also, another point in 2017, our firm looked at the student activity accounts, and although it's less than $50,000 in total, we found nothing except good results. We tested money coming in, money going out, the procedures, the policies. And it's something that the state of Mass wants to be done periodically by an outside CPA firm, and so we did it. You can elect to have it done internally in the next couple of years. So I had no findings with the student activity accounts. As far as the audit of the big financial statements, also we have an opinion that's it's a clean report. We really had no adjustments to Jim's figures regarding the budget. There is a lot of other things that are put into the financial statements outside the budget, So I'm quite pleased with the numbers, and there wasn't a lot of adjustments to it. So that's very good to report. We also audit in accordance with government and auditing standards, and it requires us to test some of the grants and contracts and the terms, and we didn't find that there was any exceptions to meeting the terms of the contracts. So that's my report. Anybody have any questions?
No questions?
Okay.
Okay, I'll take a motion to accept the report.
I'll make a motion to accept the auditor's report.
Second by Situate. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah.
Go into executive session. I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Make a motion to go into executive, but we will reconvene.
Yes.
Yes, we will.
Yep, that just has to
You
be
missed it,
stated.
did you?
No, I didn't miss it.
Okay,
Just-
yes, we will return to open session to continue our agenda. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, all in favor?
Roll call.
Cohasset?
Yeah.
Noel?
Yes.
Is it Rockland? Abington. We are now in executive session. Okay. At this time, I'll take a motion to ratify the new teacher's contract.
Motion?
Second by Situate. Any further discussion from the school committee?
This is for just Unit A.
Just Unity, yes. Yeah, no questions, that's right?
Is that the subcommittee's recommendation?
Yes,
Okay. So we're voting on the subcommittee's recommendation?
yes.
Right, to ratify the contract. Unit A.
All in favor?
Aye.
This end?
Yep.
Yes, yes. Frank, yes. It's a unanimous vote. Thank you.
Now we're back to public comments.
Okay, are there any comments from the public at this time? Seeing none, we'll look into the approval of the minutes from May 16th, two of them,
Send me a
May
complete one when
24th
it's
and May
done.
30th.
I make a motion, we approve all 4 sets of minutes.
Second by
Second.
Whitman. Any discussion on any of those meetings? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We've done student of the month, we've done teacher of the month.
Treasurer's report.
Mr. Coughlin, it's up to
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Moeller. Treasury report for this month. Again, we have graduation pictures. I stole off the internet from a couple years ago, so on the cover. The cash balances at the close of business on May 31st was $5.2 million. Again, this is usually the highest point of the year. We've done all of our 4 billings for all of our member towns, and then we do have large payrolls that come through later on in the year that we have no revenue coming through. So this is the high point of the year of our cash balances, and we actually processed the lump sum payroll today. Pat and Tricia did that, so a lot of teachers opt for the lump sum payroll, which will be paid to them on Monday when school closes. So cash will just go down and over the summer, but we're in a very strong position with as far as cash is concerned. Page 2 has all the revenues that came through, and again, we had in May all of our final assessments were reported, $1.5 million. The Rockland assessment was a couple days late, but it was received the 1st of June, so everybody has been paid through their assessments for the year. We continue to get our Chapter 70 money every month without a hitch. We were notified the end of last week that our second round of money from regional transportation is in the pipeline, and that is about $245,000. So overall, we budgeted $355 for the regional transportation, and our number will be close to $470. So we're going to have a $120,000 surplus on our regional transportation line because the state legislature has continued to fund that at a very positive rate of reimbursement. That will be coming in the next couple of days, so that'll be reflected on the June number. So overall, our revenue for the month of May is $1.9 million, which is gives us a total of a little over 12 million for the year. So we're in very good shape as we're looking towards the final few days of the year. The final page is the line items for expenditures, and again, winding down for a lot of the numbers that we have. Everything's going smoothly. Pat and Tricia are handling the payroll roles. Pat will be retiring on the 29th of June. She will be sticking around for a little bit into July for transition purposes. Tricia's been with us since the middle of May and has been running the payroll and learning all the duties and so forth. And there's 20 years of knowledge that Pat has with the systems that she's been conveying over to Tricia on a daily basis. So things are working out very well. And Sylvia's doing well too with all the payables and everything's up to date. Overall, we spent $955,000 this month. Everything's on track. A few items are over. Again, our system, anytime someone tries to spend more money that's in their budget line item, an alert pops up to Sylvia. She contacts Tom. Tom signs off on whether there is it's allowed, and therefore we'll go through the approval process. So even though there's an occasional red number here that someone has spent money over and above the budget line item, they are all justified, reviewed, and so forth. So overall, everything's well for the month of June. Excuse me, the month of May.
Motion,
So moved.
Whitman, second.
Second.
Situate, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Budget transfers, as we get close to the end of the year, we do have some accounts that go over spending on the budget line item. Again, these budgets were established last December, January, so we're 18 months from that point, and as we do increases and there are cost increases across the board, we do have an occasional over expenditure on the line item. On the budget transfers, we're looking to add in $2,500 into our security line item, which will offset that with money from our savings that we expect to have in the health insurance account. We're looking for $2,750 to be moved into the custodial supply account, with some offset as the repair and maintenance on the maintenance department, and software licenses of $25,000. And the offset there would also be some identified savings on the health insurance. As Tom mentioned in previous meetings, we deal with Mayflower for our health insurance, and we budget a percentage of increase, and we have the benchmark plan, which is what we base all the increases off. So we've had a couple percentage points of savings over the last couple of years, and that's why we have a surplus in the health insurance. This last item for the software licenses is $25,000. In the business office, we're looking to expand the capabilities of our accounting software. Number one, we're looking to get rid of the piece of hardware that's in the office that makes all that noise, and we want to go to the cloud-based system for our software company that will handle that. So everything will be cloud-based. The security level will be another grade higher than what we have now. It'll make Crystal very happy to get that large paperweight out of the office and so forth. So that's one piece. And also we're again moving into the 21st century with some other access for payroll and other things where give the employees a little bit more access on their payroll account with apps and so forth, and internet access onto they can look up their own electronic pay stubs, and again, it's just more advancements in our system that we have. So again, that's something we're looking to put in place in the next few weeks. So, and that's what these budget transfers are about. So.
Need a motion on the budget transfers?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we do the budget transfers that requested.
Second.
Second.
Rockland, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Next item on the agenda is, for me, is a transfer into the stabilization account. A couple things that have transpired over the last few months. As we entered the room, I handed out a couple pieces of paper to the members. One is an excess and deficiency calculation, which is the piece of paper that's signed by Martin Demura at the bottom. Every year, in coordination with Bruce's finalized numbers for the audit, we get a visit from Martin and Tom Guilfoyle, who are members of the Division of Local Services Division of the Mass Department of Revenue. They come through, audit the books and records, and go through, and our excess and deficiency account is a number that we're allowed to maintain a unreserved surplus of 5% of our budget. Our budget is $12.5 million. Our 5% of that number is $628,000. When they did the audit this year, they found that there was a number that we've been carrying on our financial statements that they disagreed with the way that's been carried on the financial statements, and it's a number that's been on the financial statements for at least, I look back, at least the last 10 years. And they wanted, we had it reserved, they wanted unreserved, and it was one of those points of, okay, so we had to add that back and we had to include that back into our excess and deficiency. When everything went through the blender and came through and fell down, we're currently in a situation where we are about $85,040 over and above our allowable 5% number on our excess and deficiency account. So what happens in that, once they certify that number, it goes through multiple, Bob probably got an email, Tom got an email, that's signed off by like 4 members of the Department of Revenue staff. Once they've established that $85,000 number, we then in turn have to then return that money to the state. Excuse me, we have to return the money to our 8-member towns. Attached to this Martin Demira letter is an allocation that breaks down the fact that we will have to return $85,000 to our member towns. Rockland will get $20,000. Situate gets $5,700. So it's based upon the calculation we do with the assessments every year, based upon the student population that covers operating costs. And again, it's a lineage in the state regulations on how this is done. So that's pretty much one piece of what happens is that we'll be refunding $85,000 to our member towns. Our excess and deficiency is right at the 5% limit, so there's not a lot of wiggle room there. Which brings us to the next piece of paper that I gave you with the yellow box in the middle and so forth. This is pretty much our stabilization account. Over the years, the school committee has transferred at their meetings money into the stabilization account. We started off with the rooftop units over this wing of the building, and then we used that money back in fiscal 17 to actually install the unit. So it was we used that for the purpose. We've also put money in there for design and construction, feasibility costs for any future plans within the building. We've also put money into the stabilization for purchase and leasing of buses over the last couple of years, both on the school committee vote, plus as Tom has done his budget presentations, he's also included numbers in there. During our fiscal 18 budget cycle, we have a $50,000 number going into the stabilization for the design and feasibility studies. We have $40,000 going into the lease and the purchases of buses, based upon the number of buses that we'll talk about later on, that we're looking to probably to upgrade the fleet of buses. So what happens is that our stabilization account every year, we can put up to 5% of our budget into the stabilization account, 5% of the assessments to our town. So we can put away $387,000 into the stabilization account every year. We've already put in about $300,000, so we got a wiggle room of about $87,000. And what I would like the school committee to do is to transfer, I'd like a motion to transfer $85,000 into our stabilization account from our excess and deficiency account. So we have the excess and deficiency, which is sitting at $628,000, and we can now say that that's unreserved. We can now say we're going to take slice $85,000 off of that and throw it into the reserve column, which will give us some wiggle room on our excess and deficiency line item. Plus, it'll help build the stabilization for the future design as you've reviewed all the feasibility studies that have been done by the engineers and so forth. So that's pretty much the thing. And again, the motion would be to transfer $85,000 into stabilization from our excess and deficiency account for the purpose of feasibility and renovation expenditures.
I'll make that motion.
Made by Rockland,
I'll second it.
seconded by Whitman. Any discussion?
Yeah, the vote to transfer the money, when you made the comment, to be used for design of the building. We can use it for what this board votes,
Yes.
not just for that.
Well, we have to tag it to something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's what we're gonna look at.
Yeah.
So for instance, Dan, we could not use any stabilization money tagged for lease purchase of buses
Right.
for design and construction.
Right.
So if we tag it, the intent is clear, and then we would operate off that premise going forward.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
And one other thing under my line item is that our electricity bills are going to be a little higher this year, only because been going back and forth with Al Bangert out of Situate. I guess our arrangement with the Situate solar field, I guess the solar field was down for about 6 to 7 weeks, like March into April. So at that point, they were doing some sort of rehab. So at that point, it wasn't producing any electricity. So therefore, we weren't getting any credits, which means that once we don't get any credits, we now have to, when we pay Situate 9.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Now, if they're not producing anything, we default back to our National Grid account, which we're paying like 17 cents a kilowatt hour. So our electricity bills this year will spike a little higher because of the 6-7 weeks of time that the Situate solar field was down. But we should have enough money in the budget to cover that. But it's just a point of reference if you want to, at some point you want to compare things. We did have a little last glitch in the system there with the solar field, but we're back up and running. We're on track, and things are going well. So,
Not to get off market here, but can we possible that we can reach out to the same people that did the solar field there? Maybe add some solar panels on the roof here?
We talked about that.
Huh? No,
We've
have the
talked
same
about
company do it? I mean, and just tie it into the same agreement, have them just do it?
We looked into that, Bob, and we didn't want to disturb our roof because we got a flat roof here and we don't have space out in any fields for the solar panels. So we chose to go with Situate instead.
But, Mr. Chairman, I would certainly be willing to explore smaller scale options such as on our maintenance building or on our barn. Or there are even examples of school districts that are looking, I see them in the office park up the street here of parking lot solar panels.
You park underneath it.
Yeah, you park underneath it. That might be the only other frontier we could explore, but it's an option.
Have more than one solar provider.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. We have one arrangement with Situate. You could expand it.
But also, you can also look into, talk to the town about, into the conservation, maybe they wouldn't allow, maybe they would allow a windmill, too, going up in there, because it's dead space anyway, but it's just one thing going in outside of the retention area, in between the two retention areas that they have deeded, I think, through this town. I think if there's no space being used there, we might as well see if we could put something up there as far as a windmill goes. That we're working with our sciences, our electronics, all those things there, so.
We could look into it.
That's what I'm saying.
So town
That's all I'm
regulations.
asking for, is just the opportunity to look into things, that's all.
Town regulations, and look what Hanover went through. They spent a fortune on theirs, and it hasn't paid for them.
I had a thought as well.
And Situate has got shadows.
Bob, over to George has
I just had one thought.
Yes, George.
I know that there's a new solar field that was just installed on top of a landfill area in Cohasset. Just looking at some of the numbers for how much the town contributes because of the number of graduates or people in attendance, I would think that there may be a small amount of electricity that they could split off, and you could get National Grid to direct the power that's made in that solar field here, just as they must be doing in Situate. And wouldn't it make sense to try to attach each town, if they also, I don't know if Rockland or another town has a solar field on top of their.
We have one that don't, yeah.
It's new,
Yeah.
right? New.
So,
Yeah.
is it possible to use the percentage of the number of students that are here at the town, and ask the town to spin off 5% or 2.5% or whatever it is of the electricity generated by those, and send it here?
Yeah, it's usually a negotiated amount and a negotiated price. That's what we did with Situate.
But
Yeah,
what we're saying is the market seems to be expanding
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
what the opportunities are.
As we speak, it's going on. You start seeing on people's houses now.
to update George on the.
We can look into that.
We can purchase up to 20% of the credit from Situate onto and get a credit from National Grid.
yeah.
And ideally, normally, on a normal year, we use about 875,000 kilowatt hours.
Yeah. Jim did all the work on that, didn't you?
I dream about these numbers on the solar field, but, and actually the first year we ended up purchasing 1 million kilowatt hours, so we actually had credits on our accounts.
Yeah.
So we backed off the 20% down to 15% to sort of balance things off.
Yeah.
And then what happens is that we get a bad winter that's not producing as much.
Yep.
It's offline for a little bit, so the 1 million units we purchased 2 years ago, we might only be purchasing 700,000 units this year because of their production. So we need to keep our fingers on that piece
Yeah.
of things. So, and if Cidra's running up and running at the 9.5 cents a unit, there is no need to look elsewhere because it's
Yep.
that would cover our costs. It's just a matter of, as their solar field gets older, it'll produce less.
Yep.
We just need to monitor those things. So.
How far into the future do you have to have that negotiation for that electricity?
We just renewed our first. We had a 3-year contract. We just renewed it last July.
Yeah.
So we're in the second 3 years. I think we've got a couple more renewal periods, and it goes up a couple of cents every time we do
Yeah.
things. So.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay. That's it, Jim?
Yep.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is school committee staff recognition. Margaret, could you step up, please? This plaque is from the school committee to Margaret Dutch, our retiring principal. The silent whip here. She never heard about Margaret, but she got everything done without a word. The school committee has always appreciated your professionalism, attention to detail, and your committing to putting student education at the center of all your decisions. You've been a reliable and caring leader and have earned the respect and admiration of parents, staff, and everything one can agree is a disbanded job. Social Regional School Committee sends its warmest wishes on a happy retirement.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Speak to be retiring.
Yeah, speech, tiny speech. Thankful for the opportunity you've given me, grateful for the trust that you've placed in me, and I've enjoyed every minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Enjoy retirement.
Chief Bob, I'm glad you dressed for the occasion.
Okay, we're down to Superintendent Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A very brief report. I want to start by thanking all the members of the committee for attending graduation. Another great year at the South Shore Music Circus, and largest graduating class that we had, and a wonderful day. I'd like to mention, as somewhat of a public service announcement, that Whitman Hanson Cable will gladly make available high-quality DVDs for anyone who's interested in a copy of the graduation production. They can be contacted online at WHCA TV, or they can be called during business hours at 781-447-4175. And for municipalities who broadcast local cable, WHCA is also part of something called Mass Exchange. So a lot of their productions...
Mass Media Exchange.
Mass Media Exchange. That's not what I said. Mass Media Exchange. And Kevin has educated me on this process. It's actually very simple. If they record anything from us, 5 years ago it would have been converted to a DVD. We would have sent it off to the local cable stations here or there. If your municipalities, if your digital video local cable folks are not aware of Mass Media Exchange, Kevin explains to me that it's a very simple process of registering with Mass Media Exchange, and then they can simply download anything that WHCA records and broadcast it. So it's cut out that it's the evolution of the technology. If that's something that you wouldn't mind putting on your to-do list, finding out who the point person is in your town, Mass Media Exchange, and certainly Kevin could provide any smaller details if there are counterparts from your communities to call WHCA directly. So thanks for that information, Kevin. And thank you again for great job the administrative staff and the guidance staff who put graduation together. I'd also mention that we have a patient care technician textbook for a first reading. I would presume to be ordering this as we go into the summer. If it's needed for the first day of school in September, then I'll probably be ordering it before we meet again in July. That's for our allied health program. And Mr. Chairman, if I may just turn over to our administrative team, if there are any updates that you might have as we wrap up the school year. And that's, again, we're averaging out our meeting time quite nicely tonight. You don't have to force it, really, but it's on there in case you'd like to give the committee an update. Hearing none, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Who did the school improvement plan?
Oh, that would be me.
All of us? I have a couple comments.
Okay.
Well, do you mind if we...
Okay, we're going to do it under new business,
Thank you.
Margaret. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, if I could switch hats to new business?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Under new business 11A, I'd like to ask for a motion for your approval to authorize me to do something involving a lease of a copier. The same statute and regulation that governs a lease or a contract of any kind over 3 years requires a vote of the governing board. So we have an opportunity to, we're getting quotes right now. We had a provider of one of our copiers in Graphic Communications come in with a very good proposal that would offer us an extended lease on a copier with no what are called click counts. It's a fixed amount regardless of the amount of use, labor, warranty. It's a great deal. But because the total value of the potential 4-year lease exceeds a certain threshold, we not only have to go and seek competitive quotes, but I would need a vote of the governing board in order to let me, if the numbers work out, to authorize me to do that. So I'm here asking, I do not know the vendor yet because we haven't completed the quotes, but should I be in a position to engage in a lease that would extend beyond 3 years, I'd be looking for a motion to authorize me to contract for a 4-year lease for a copier in Graphic Communications.
May I make
I can make that motion.
Situate?
Second.
Second, Rockland. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Have the authority.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, under 11B, for the second year in a row, I'd be asking the committee to vote to allow the nonprofit organization Learn to Cope to continue to meet at South Shore Vocational Technical High School. This is a nonprofit that assists families who have loved ones dealing with addiction. They have met here for 2 years now without incident. I'm very happy we're able to provide our space to help out residents of the community. Your vote tonight would essentially be waiving any facilities fees for this organization to continue its work.
Motion?
Motion.
Whitman? Second. Situate? Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you very much. And now, Mr. Chairman, to the school improvement plan. Margaret, as chair of our school council, that is your document 10 in your packet. And Margaret.
If you have questions, I'll come up and answer them. How's that?
I believe you've all had it in your package. You had a chance to look it over and have any questions of Margaret. It'll save her a lot of energy going through 25 to 7 pages of it.
Save us all. Yes, save us all.
Save us all from going through it. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Margaret, I have a couple comments, not questions.
Okay.
Now, this will probably go to your predecessor, not to you. To evaluate the programs with Quincy College for their future continuance. I know one of our students got, at least one got deep sixed out of the nursing program over there that they folded up, and the information I got, there could be some more collapses of some of their programs like we have here. So just to make sure that our kids don't go into that without problems. And under goal 2.15, include the school committee to wear their IDs. And Bob Muller's the biggest offender.
Well, we won't name him.
Just his initials.
Get him to wear long pants first.
There's a recent report out on school security that your predecessor can look into it, is that for vocational schools, they're now changing their thoughts about security gates and all this stuff because the public can't get to the shops where they do their business or transactions, and it's very difficult to go through a central office, getting a pass, having either an automatic gate or somebody meet them at the door, where they're, just highlighted some of the things in my head, and that's like a camera for each door, where the person would do a buzzer, and it would go in to the central office, and then the central office could notify the shop, for example, with a buzzer thing, that there's someone at the door, and they've been pre-approved.
We've been moving in that direction, but it is a delicate balance.
But it would save a little money, and a lot of it's in lieu of a full-time security agent too, because now they're realizing that it's a lot of cost for that, and a lot of schools, especially vocationals, couldn't afford it because one security officer probably couldn't handle it with benefits and everything. It's very expensive, but it's something to look into. On 2.21, on the third-party certifications, explore the possibility of the organizations that require the certifications to conduct programs or evening classes to assist those students if it goes beyond the academic trade of teaching the student, to have the third-party certification agency come in and teach the students what they need to know for the certifications. I'm going to use hypothetically a welder, they might get not pipe welding here and they have to be certified in pipe welding, or in automotive now, not only computers but other different things, emission tests and so forth. That could be part of a lot of these could be part of several other goals that you have in that plan. But
Right, including the night school goal.
yeah,
You know, you could expand.
yeah. The other one is the night schools with the, and Tom and I talked about this today, about having a person here that's responsible for the going out to these different industries and bring them in for night school, that our students could take courses and they could train their people in their course as well.
Absolutely.
Just things that Bob thought of.
Thank you.
It shows you I did read it.
You did, thank you, appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Anybody else, any other questions?
Just a comment. I think your whole group needs to be recommended for the great work that they've done here. There's a lot of work that's done, and I'll echo the things that have been done in the past. I mean, when the things that I've been involved with Ms. Dutton, she was school council, when I was on the school council, about the horticulture program, which is going to be a big successful thing going on here. The sign out front that's bringing us into the 2000s instead of the gas station sign out front.
Good old days.
Yeah, the plumbing, all these different things here is coming forth, and it's all started from discussions that have happened in the school council, and I think that's a very important thing that's going to be going forward, and she's done a great job with it, and no pressure, but it needs to be,
I have lots of pressure.
okay, so going forward, be the same thing going forward, and I just want to thank Margaret for the great job that she's done with this.
Thank you.
Over the past years.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Here, here.
I have one comment on your sign, Bob. The administrators get blamed for misspelled words now, not the students.
That's all right, though. That's all right.
Oh, a sign with a spell
There's no more
check.
excuses about the sign blowing down the street either.
Yeah, or one message that lasts through the whole winter because we can't get to it, right?
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah, 'cause the snow's too deep,
Surplus
Oh,
declaration.
so, Mr. Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, just a
Go ahead.
recorded vote for the plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Made by
Make a
Rockland,
motion.
Thank you.
seconded by
Second.
Cohasset, Whitman. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret, and
Thank you.
others who helped you. Surplus declarations, culinary arts, social studies, and math. I'll take it in one motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the surplus equipment.
Second,
I'll second.
Whitman, Any discussion on them? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Warrants, I believe Mr. Situate's gonna do
No,
that
I got it.
tonight.
What, you got?
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Who's got it?
Oh,
give us a double trade here, Dan.
Same one?
same one,
You
yeah.
may do it, Dan.
Okay.
can do it. You
I have,
want
I need a warrant for approval, warrants 22 AP, 23, 24, and 24.1, totaling $1,083,839.16.
Second.
Second by Situate. Any discussion on the warrants?
Friends, constituents.
All in favor? Unanimous. That was a double do.
There we go.
The treasurer didn't notify the chairman that he gave it to somebody, and the chairman gave it to someone else. Any requests for actions? Seeing none? Mr. Whitman?
Okay, with all due respect, that motion to adjourn.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to compliment the administration for the job, for the Knights of Excellence that they had here, for all the underclassmen, all the awards there. I was luckily able to attend, and I thought they did a fantastic job for getting all those awards out for all the underclassmen, for all the academics and chops.
Thank you. Thank you, it was a good night.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor to adjourn? It's unanimous.
Thank you.